Hey guys, so this is going to be like a thing on albaz. So basically, I'm going to go over like a lot of the weirder kind of choices I've got in my deck at the moment. So I've had a few people like message me personally and just ask me about like why I run certain cards and like why certain things are the way they are. So at the moment, running two albaz. Now, two I feel is fine because we are running a fusion substitute, which technically is treated as the third. So that is completely fine. I just have a lot of this has a lot of association with other stuff. So it all correlates, but in like a very unique way. So you have your two albas, your main starting point. And obviously you have your your fusion spells. So you've got your two, your one, your one, your one. You can use expulsion if you want for this one. It's optional, but I just don't like really give it puppet lock. If you want to choose wins, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just a personal style preference. So for your main support units, we will have. So we've got two kit. So two kit your searcher. I had to cut something recently, so it's like this just happened to be the one. So Cartesia, Ecclesia, and your two. So these all support. So this can summon albaz. This is also recursion during the end phase. Yeah, Cartesia is just your fusion. Kit adds your spells, and this is your negate. These all support albaz, and they all mention albaz, which is always very, very, very prevalent in everything. So I always try and keep that correlation that Makuru at two because I always seem to draw one, and then like I will always want the second one to have a banish. So I feel like two is good for that. Ecclesia is a cuttable card for people, and I can understand why. Just sometimes just her presence alone is good. So, but if you open up like these two, like you fuse, you make these off, you just get two back. So it's like, yeah, it's really good. So also note with kit. So if you do have, say, if you activate Cartesia, you can special kit and then add this. So it's not renegated to your normal. So that's what's good. Same with Cartesia. Cartesia is not just renegated. So really with all of these, you can special all of them apart from obviously Makuris. So you can special summon every one of these cards, which is really good. So I didn't want a deck where I was literally kind of limited to my normal summon as much as possible. Second of all, so we're going to go with your branded lineup or Despian lineup. So you have one Tragedy. Tragedy searches all of these. Aluba's technically like your third kit. You could run free Aluba. This is obviously for budget reasons. So and then one Quem. Quem also is part of the other part of your line as well. So you always have to remember that. So it has a lot of synergy because obviously it's spellcaster with its attack equals its own defense. It is a light monster, so always to be wary of that because of things like Gozen. So just always remember to kind of like be aware of certain attribute changes. So I'm going to keep Quem aside as well for a minute. So these are your genuine support cards. So you have Visago, which is treated as like your any fusion. You have your Havness, which if you kind of can orchestrate it right is really, really stupid. And then you just have your two Bystials. Magnamut, which is itself Albaz and Dress Worm, which is fine. So if you need that, you can still roll stuff. It's not really an issue. So they serve purposes. Like I say, Havness is just really good because sometimes you can just like summon it from hand, and it's not like the worst thing, but it's kind of like against tier, it can hit a zone off. Mill free, it's not always bad. This Sargo is just really good because it's Albaz, it's Cartesia, and then it's like other stuff for the extra deck. So Visago is everything. Yes, you could use Light Hex, but I just preferred because we run Tikaboo in the side deck. Having a Fiend is just a nice thing to have because sometimes you just want different types. So yeah, that's again, that's thinking on purely on a side deck purpose. Okay. So we're next going to go with the dogmatic part. So when you want a dear servant, three of this, technically Quem as well. So Quem is just searchable with so much stuff, which is really insane. So remember, like your Nadir service, it's one monster from your extract. So go for then add one dogmatic or fallen of albaz from your deck or graveyard. So the good thing is to remember about this is that this does like play around your people playing Droll. So this just kind of helps. So in other words, you can kind of get around things. So I feel like this is fine. Another thing to think of is that even though you run 3, this is usually a good side out with 1. But another good thing to think of is along with your fusions. So they say this equals Lululemon. So it's another way of making Lululemon without using your synchros. Sorry, using your fusion. Sorry. So it's just another nice way to keep the deck kind of going in a way that you want without trying to force it. If that kind of makes sense. So that's that. So we've got that. Then we've got you kind of like your Gold Sark, your 2 fusion deployments. Fusion deployment's fine. Everyone knows. Decisive Battle is just my tech card. I just like it because during the end phase you can special kit, and kit does restrictions, and then it sends from the extra deck to the graveyard, and it just I can show you some really dumb plays where this just really helps. So, but if you take these cards for example, you can go say banish this will get you like a Luba or Quem, so that's really good. Again, Foolish Burial, this gets you that or Quem. If you Gold Sark, you decide to Gold Sark Courier, we all know that play. You get to add something which is really good, and then you get your Cartesia. You just literally, these cards facilitate plays. They're just 1-card starters, which is really good. Again, I'd say 1-card starter. So I'm going to go over a weird scenario with this one. So I had one game where literally it was, I had this on board. I believe it was Quem. And then I believe I had Cartesian Grave. So we're going to go with that. So you got these 2 in grave. You activate effect Quem. They Ghost Ogre. I was like, cool, Decisive Battle. So I was like, they're like, okay. I was like, okay, I'm going to send. I think it was at the time I just wanted just to wait to get Brand Infusion. So I was like, okay, cool. For this cost, I'll send this. Then you resolve Quem, and then Quem send. I think it was I was just looking for anything, and I was like, oh, I'll just send Cartesia. It's fine. So then, because of that, then on a new chain. Quem will activate, summoning Cartesia. I was like, okay, I can then go Cartesia effect, fuse, and I love this line of play. It just gets so dumb into this. And then I was like, oh, I'll send something else. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to send. I was like, oh no, I'll just send Titaniclad. And then I was like, okay, for this. And then I was like, okay, we'll go end phase. And I was like, looking at my graveyard, I'm like, my graveyard is stacked. So I'm like, okay, so Cartesias are mandatory. Then it's this one. And I was like, okay, well, then I can just like get my branded fusion. So I was like, okay, I'll just like look through my branded fusion stuff. So I was like, oh, I'll just grab a branded fusion, which is just really good. So I was like, okay, I've got this. And it's like, oh, then Titaniclad's going to trigger. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I'll do that. And then I was like, oh, I'll just grab that. And so from like that, I just ended up with like 4 cards in hand without any resources. And I was like, oh, this is just fun. I can really do some horrible things here. So it was kind of like, okay, so I've got 2 sets of recursion, an interruption and an interruption. I was like, yeah, I'm happy with this. And then I was like, oh yeah, cool. I forgot about one of my more interesting effects. And I was like, what did you mean? I was like, well, I can actually special kit, and I can actually activate kit's effect as well to like correct my hand. And he was like, what? This is just really, really good. Just for the fact that, like, obviously you need albaz in the graveyard to resolve this last part. But it's just an insane amount of advantage you can generate off 1 card. Just because the destruction protection also protects itself. So even if they lightning storm you can just go, yeah, cool, yeah, effect. So yeah, absolutely amazing card. So yeah, so showing you all of these really daft kind of like things I like to try and do with my decks. So another thing was, I'm going to go to sort of into hand trap and why I run these. So core buy is obvious just because of Ash, we don't want it. Twin Twister, it's just sometimes you want to get stuff in the grave, and just sometimes twins help. You could replace that with Regeki or Harpies, which is fine. So we'll go with these here. So you got your hand traps. So I want to say about this. So one guy was like, okay, number one, the funniest thing is, Llewellyn has a synergy with Vela because its attack equals its own defense, which is really stupid. I just want to bring that up. So yeah, if you kind of get locked under Secret Village, you can spec this out if you haven't got any other targets. Okay, so all of these have interruptions on your opponent. The only one that's hard once per turn is Ogre, which is kind of sad, but that's it. All of these have synergy with most parts of the deck. So all of them can be used with Cartesia to fuse. All of them can be used as part of Branded Fusion. The idea was, unlike Ash, which is like a generally good card, I just wanted everything that had synergy to have synergy with every part of the deck. That's the best way to be. I wanted to have synergy with this that has synergy with that. The Velos having normal hard once per turn is fine. These just like making board presence is good. Anything that could be part of just different plays is just really, really nice to me, and I feel that that's going to be the preference of how I get through most of my games. So I have changed my side deck up, and it's a bit of a weird, I don't want to say controversial, but some people don't really like this card, so I'm gonna go over why I've done so. So this is purely for, and the bad play dot is purely for like Kashtira. I know it's not like some people still. I used to reckon it's still prevalent to play. It hurts Trap Trick. To a point, like it interferes with heroes because of like level 4s. I just really wanted something that interfered with a lot of decks generically that people weren't considering signing out. So I was like, the Bampedon was just like something you could just flip. So I just thought that was a good idea. Again, TKB. A lot of my deck can play as one of, so it's fine. 2 super poly, you could put in the third, it's not a problem. I didn't have a third spare from one of my other decks, so I just put this in instead. 2 Dark Ruler. I just wanted generic board wipes, so that's fine. A third albaz just in case, and I did want Brightest Blaze of the Branded King. Now, so this is an odd one. So a lot of people don't really like this, but it's still a really good card. Now, it says choose one fusion monster you control that mentions fallen albaz. Negate the effects of all of the face-up cards in the field. During the end phase, if a fusion monster reverts to grave, you can add this card from your grave to your hand. See, I just like the fact it's recursion. That's the only reason that really makes me just love this card. It's like, okay, cool. I get to turn off the entire field, and I get to recycle that turning off the field. So, as long as you keep an albaz fusion, like this is generally a threat and live. Just having another way to recur another card to my hand is just an advantage. And a cyclable, like, just board drain is just really, really, really decent. I personally would have thought this card would have been a super just because it looks really, really beautiful. It's just like he's just literally just going like completely off the Super Saiyan tringe, but hey, we'll just go with what it is. So if you break it down, this actually turns off drain. So if you like have skill drain out, they have like a load of, especially something like say like Eldritch, where they have a lot of like face ups. This just turns it all off, and then you can just go cool. Okay, Mirror Jade, banish Golden Lord. That's fine. It's I couldn't understand why people would prefer a board breaker, but with this as well, you also have to think of it's searchable in archetype. So you can get this off Aluba, you can get this off Albion. It's another searchable card that's another searchable recursion card. So in this format, I feel like keeping recursion, keeping your hand advantage is something that Brand does well, and having a side card that does that is something exceptional, and so should always be considered. Again, the only thing that's the downside to it, and it's the downside to everything, is that you have to set the damn thing, and that's the only sad part you have to set. So, but hey, that's my take on it. You know, take it. You know, it is what it is. But you know, is there always room to improve? Yes, there is. If anyone is wondering like why I've done this more recently than doing stuff on Ice Jade, so I didn't really have a great locals with Ice Jade this week. One match was really good. One match I did really good. The next one, he just opened the nuts, I couldn't deal with it. Third match, just bricked. Then my third game 3, I bricked insanely both games, and he drolled me in the right place where I didn't really have a great hand to recover from droll, and then he lightning stormed me. So I was not in a good place. So the best way to kind of like, for me, is I like to go to a separate deck where I can look at it and kind of then come back and look with fresh eyes. Branded is a really good deck because it's a lot of integral parts which work as the sum as a whole. You can keep it very in theme, or you can go out of theme. I'd say it's probably one of my most favorite archetypes ever created because it's so flexible, which I really love, and I think it's really nice. I do feel like in some ways, like Branded Fusion does need to get hit some way, shape, or form. So whether they do that in the TCG that they've done on Master Duel, or what is it, or they do it in OCG, is fine. So, but we'll work around it. We have the cards. We can make it better. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed talking about Branded and everything. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I'll see you guys later.